1 minute till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, indeed it is. This is the Voice of Reason. Welcome in, broadcasting live all over, wherever you may be. National broadcast of the radio broadcast here on the Voice of Reason. We are streaming also live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, all that good jazz. Also streaming live on the website at HoosierReason.com. Make sure to check that out as well. A lot of goodies on there. I appreciate you hanging out with us here as we are in the heartland of America from the flagship radio station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration, one of our most favorite days of the year. Why? Because it's a pre-Friday celebration. It's not as cool as Friday, but it's better than Wednesday. See what we did there? See what we did there? I like it. All right. Welcome in. We got a lot to get to today. We're going to try and cram in as much as we can, as usual, as we have the Supreme Court coming out for a second time this week, making ridiculous, absurd decisions when it comes to especially immigration. So we'll touch on that one here in just a second with DACA. But I'm excited to have a guest on. Oh, by the way, too, with the live stream, let me know the lighting. We're trying to work on some of the lighting in the studio, and I'm doing something a little different. Also, I have a screaming headache at the same time, which means the fluorescent lights are not the best right now, but we power through. And I think we've got a little more balance instead of like a glare on one side and dark on the other. Although we could do like the whole Illuminati, like, you know, one-eyed, the all-seeing eye thing going on there as well. So regardless, let me know what you think as we're continuously modifying as we go. But I'm excited. This guy is awesome. We've had him on the show many times before. We've had him on the podcast many times before as well. He's a former U.S. Marine. He's an expert in the field when it comes to mental toughness and emotional intelligence, being able to break down the psychology of politics today, which I think is extremely needed as we try and understand. See, as you know, the Voice of Reason, we try to understand. We may not always agree, but we try to understand the thought process that some have as we go through the political world. And I'm excited to have him back on. His website is mentaltoughnessspeaker.com, but it's Mr. Eric Rittmeyer hanging out with us today on the show. Eric, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Andy, you're the man. I'm awesome, man. Thanks for having me back, buddy.
Oh, it's always good to talk to you. We definitely had to get you back on, especially the first week of the national radio broadcast of the show as we kick this off and launch it, because it is so much fun every time I talk to you, and it's such an interesting insight on things. And I think nowadays, especially with what's going on with the protests, the Occupy, the autonomous zone in Seattle right now, the defunding of law enforcement, I really want to pick your brain throughout the show today on the mental state that many individuals are in and why we're getting to that point. And let's start off with maybe the autonomous zone, the protests right now. When you feel like you can completely block off blocks of a city and run it as your own little commune, I guess you could put it. You play the music, you're carrying guns around, you're out of food, you're trying to run your own thing without any type of leadership because you're against leadership, because then you become the establishment that you've hated so much. Is this a control thing? Is this just a childish mentality? What's actually going on in your thoughts here?
Well, let's not forget they took over the police station too. I mean, that's kind of major. I mean,
Well,
like,
sure.
hey, by the way, just police officers roll out. You know what I mean? So it's a pure lack of leadership is what's happening, and the thought of just to hear leadership there respond to it and kind of just shrug it off like, hey, it's like a summer type thing, summer love type thing. I mean, it's pure insanity what's happening there, and what's fueling all this, Andy. And this is what I've spoken about with you multiple times, and everything I've been speaking on with mental toughness since 10 years ago when I started really getting heavy into this. It's all about emotion, and as a nation, prior to January 1 of this year when everything started to hit the fan, our nation's been intoxicated in emotion for a very long time. Mm-hmm. We are just incapable of logical thought processes. So the minute something happens, we have this automatic reaction, and it's not you can't blame every person because they don't fully understand this, but we're hardwired to feel first and think later. So the issue is, as a nation, we've received zero training on how to control our emotions. We go through school, we memorize, regurgitate, we get thrown out into the workforce, somebody says something that we don't like, what do? We cry, we moan, we call them this, we call them that, we go nutso, because we can't understand our emotion, we can't control the emotion. Our nation needs to sober up.
Why do you, let's go back to the beginning of it. Why do you think, or where do you think that began? We used to be a tough nation, and I asked this a few days ago about American identity, and have we lost our identity? And when trials and tribulations have encountered us in America, whether it's a war, whether it's a conflict, something like 9/11, we've always risen to the challenge to meet it and exceed it, really, as a nation. And I think that we've almost struggled with that lately, maybe because emotionally we have not been prepared to do so. I'm not saying everybody. I mean, obviously we have outstanding individuals like yourself and everybody else that's been in the military that have volunteered to do so, that have risen to those challenges to meet them. But the ones that get the media attention, which maybe it's the media itself, but there's such a large sect today that focuses on the victimization, that focuses on the world's against me, that focuses on I hate everything, so therefore I need to disrupt and destroy everything. The anarchist mentality that we're seeing today. Where did we go wrong, and where did we begin to lose our mental toughness?
So many things you just said I got to touch on. Number one, the media is a major culprit here. I mean, the problem with media in this day and age, and not just what's happening right now, prior to, the media has an incredible way of taking these exceptions and making everybody think that they're the rule. The majority of people don't stay up with things that are truly, that are happening. They don't do further research. They go one place for information, that's it. When they hear it, when they see it, they believe it. As a nation, the media has just gotten to a point where they're stirring things up. And when it comes down to what we're seeing with Chaz and with defund police and let's open up the borders and let people out of prison, what this all boils down to, and I catch a lot of slack for this, but if you want to go to the core of all the problems we're having right now, the issue is the breakdown of the family structure. That is the problem we have in this nation right now. We have gotten to a point where we put zero emphasis on family life. It is all about reproducing and the father leaving. That's what happens. Our nation is missing fathers. That's a major problem, and I catch so much slack for that. But I look for common denominators. So when I see what's happening in our nation right now, what I try to do is go back to a time, the 50s, the 60s, whatever, when it wasn't that bad. I'm like, okay, what are the differences? What's happened here? The only common denominator I can find is the lack of the family structure. Back in the 1960s, just 9% of households grew up with a single-family household. Fast forward 2019, almost triple. 26% of households are without fathers. That's a major, major problem. I'm not saying moms can't do a good job. They do a wonderful job. That's great. But children need both. They need mother, need father. The cities with the highest crime rates, Baltimore, Chicago, where I live in Baltimore, 70% of households in Baltimore are without fathers. So if you want to start looking for common threads, let's start with the lack of the family structure. That's where it all starts.
That's very true. I would also go another step further and say that when we are working 2-3 jobs, we don't have the family sit down at the dinner table, and then we hear don't talk about politics and religion at the dinner table. We don't know how to discuss those things. We get very emotional when we have someone contrast what our emotional argument is or what our political belief is, because that's a part of our identity. And when we don't know how to have that conversation to further the discussion or further our understanding or further the dialogue, and we don't know how to dialogue because of social media at the same time, I think we've lost a little bit of that as well. Do we need to sit down at the dinner table with the family and talk about politics and religion?
Yeah, we live in what I refer to as the outrage culture, okay? We're hypersensitive to every single thing. We're outraged at everything. The minute somebody disagrees with us or we disagree with somebody, we default to these defense mechanisms of name-calling, of getting upset. It's driving people absolutely bonkers. We don't have the ability to accept opposing points of view, and I'm not saying we have to agree on everything. What I'm saying is we have to be given the opportunity to be heard, and that's all people ultimately want in any type of situation. We just want to be heard, but we become so ensconced in these political bubbles that we can't even see right from wrong anymore. I mean, go back to the bombing. This is kind of old news now, but look at like General Soleimani. Like when we killed him, he's a terrorist. He was responsible for thousands of U.S. lives. We get rid of him. We eliminate him. You got people. And they were rallying behind him, like saying we assassinated this amazing general. It's pure insanity. So ensconced in our political beliefs that the minute somebody says something, if they have an opposing political view, we automatically hate them. That's what it all is.
Yeah, no, it really is. Absolutely. The argument of defunding police, is it a lack of control? I know people are upset. When we saw what happened in Minneapolis, everybody rose up. I mean, every race, even law enforcement agencies across the nation, they rose up and said, this is wrong. Something happened here that's something that we don't practice, that we don't teach law enforcement, that we don't actually do. This is opening discussions for reform. We need to. But when others take it to the extreme of completely defund and dismantle police, Minneapolis City Council voted to completely dismantle and do community-based policing. We see Georgia with police and walking out because now they can't do anything without getting arrested or getting charged and getting in trouble. You see Albuquerque, New Mexico, where they're going to start sending in social workers to domestic disputes and those sorts of things. Is it a control issue? Is it a fear issue? Why do you think that some want to take it to the absolute extreme of get rid of all cops because a few of them are bad?
It's nuts. It's nuts. And, there are hundreds of millions of interactions. Last year, I think there were 350 million police interactions with the public. And it's a fraction of those interactions resulted in there being, somebody getting hurt, somebody getting shot, whatever. It's pure insanity that we're taking these isolated incidents and trying to make people believe like it happens all the time. It's dangerous. It's straight up dangerous that you're watching this stuff on TV, and we're being told by political leaders, we're being told by people, fear the police. It's pure, it's nutso, it's dangerous. There are bad apples everywhere. I mean, come on, we can't just pinpoint police. I know lots of police officers, you do too, and it drives me nuts when I hear most police officers are okay. No, not most police officers are okay. The overwhelming vast majority, maybe 0.1%. Maybe 0.1% are bad officers. Aside from that, the other 99.9% would take a bullet for somebody after they'd spit in their face. It's what they do. So to go after this whole defund police thing, it's absolutely dangerous. The fact that people are jumping on board with this, these city leaders are jumping on board. Who are you going to call when there's a problem? You're going to send out a social worker when there's domestic violence? Do you know where the vast majority of police interactions go south? It's on domestic violence calls. You're going to send somebody out there with a piece of pen, a piece of paper and a pen to handle it? It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And that's what Albuquerque, New Mexico just decided to do, is that they're going to create a new branch of law enforcement, which is going to be social workers to go out and handle certain issues like domestic disputes. But then you see, which makes sense to me, and we read this yesterday, that the city itself of Minneapolis, when they voted to defund it, almost 20% of real estate within city limits went up for sale within the first 7 days, because people understand that if you don't have 911 to call if there's an issue, if someone's breaking in, you don't want to be in that community, and they're going to vacate. It's going to be a desert. This is the true, I think, social experiment the progressives are having, and it's going to fail miserably on them. What do you think?
You're absolutely right. And here's the problem, Andy. You go to any professional law enforcement person, anybody who has served as a police officer, as head of the police department, whatever, every single one of them says defunding is absolutely not the answer. There needs to be more funding. And where everything begins, where everything starts is, let's stop putting so much emphasis on the police department and let's start putting more emphasis on society. And let's start raising our children and teaching our kids police officers are there to help. You have to follow the law. The law is there for a reason. They are there to enforce the law. These are human beings. You can't tell me police officers wake up in the morning saying, oh, going to work today, I want to murder somebody. There's nobody that wants to do that. They're put in these positions, they're making millisecond decisions, and then you got somebody sitting down on Monday morning doing slow-mo 8,000 times saying, do you see this one little thing? If their lives are in danger, they're going to react accordingly. We have to teach our kids to respect authority.
Well, and I think that comes down to it. We have to respect everybody with authority or not, just to learn respect again. Eric Rittmeyer, we got lots to talk about. We got to take a break here. When we come back, I want to dive deeper into that and talk about the mental state of law enforcement and individuals in the military, and we can go down that road as well. It's the Voice of Reason. Make sure to tune in each and every day. We're right here. We got lots to get to here on a pre-Friday celebration. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
So I've been tracking some of the downloads of the podcast over the last couple of days for the first few days already, and they're astronomical. Kansas is killing it, obviously, as we're based right here in Wichita, Kansas, on the home front for the flagship, but we're in Washington as well, and Wisconsin, doing very well. One state that's actually doing very well, surprisingly, which I don't even know why, but we're not in that market yet. I'm looking forward to doing so, and we're going to have to reach out. But in the state of Michigan, maybe Michigan just needs a little oomph to be able to fight off some of the progressive values going on out there as well. But welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you along for the ride today. Our guest today, Eric Rittmeyer. I love having him on the program. So much great insight and just an explanation, a breakdown of why things are happening the way that they're happening. And as we went into the break, I wanted to ask you, Eric, about the mental toughness, the mental state that it takes to volunteer to become part of law enforcement, especially in times like this when everybody seems to hate you because you have that bad reputation, that if you're a cop, you're automatically some kind of racist who just wants to go out into the streets and bully people and harm individuals, or some form of military where you put your life literally on the line every single day in order to keep America free, which most people don't. Most people do respect it. Some people don't respect it, and it's something that I think is very troubling in society today. What kind of mental state do you have to be and decide, I know I'm going to get shunned, I know I'm going to get abused, I know I'm going to get verbally assaulted, but I'm going to stand and do the right thing each and every day, even if my life depends on it, because that's what I need to do?
Well, it's funny you say that, Andy, because everything you said about, being spit on, being berated, all that kind of stuff, these are things that police officers have always had to deal with, unfortunately. Say they go into it with the mindset of they know what they're getting into. The difference that we have right now, and what's most lacking and what's most alarming to me, and what is going to cause the biggest issue with this mass exodus of law enforcement is the lack of leadership standing up for their people. That is what's driving me absolutely nuts. I mean, you have these governors, you have these mayors, you have these people that aren't even defending. They're not even defending their police force. It's pure insanity. Look at the L.A. Look out in Los Angeles. Those police officers were working massive amounts of overtime. I don't know if you heard about this. Now they're saying they're not even getting paid for it. Mm-hmm. They're going to get leave. They're going to get the equivalent in leave. How do you do that to your police officer? So I think the mental capacity, I know the mental capacity of anybody in law enforcement is they're very good at controlling emotion. They know what they're getting into. They understand they're going to be dealing with people. They're very good at controlling the emotion, not allowing it to get the best of them. But the issue we have right now is the lack of support from leadership. That is horrifying to me, because without that, it's like being in the Marine Corps. I knew if I fell on my face, I knew it didn't matter. I knew whoever it was in charge of me, whoever my higher up was, whoever my commanding officer was, they had my back no matter what. The police force, they don't have that right now.
Well, it's very true. I mean, the leaders, as you mentioned, city council members, the mayors of many cities are the ones that are actually attacking law enforcement, saying, "This is, how dare you do this? You need to change your ways." And they're sitting there saying, wait a second, we're doing everything we can. Why aren't you backing us up? We're a team here. We're a unit in the leadership of our community. Why aren't you here backing me and saying, you know what, let's maybe reform some ways that we actually handle things. We'll figure out ways that we can work together, instead of just berating us and saying you guys are evil and we're going to wipe clean our law enforcement. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. And you listen to the president of the Police Officer Association in New York. He was on air last week, whatever it was, and he was just so emotional, and I loved listening to him talk. And his whole premise was, what about us? What about us back here? It's what he said. We don't have any blood on our badge. And here's the problem. It's this either or thing, Andy, and that's the problem. It's like people look at what happened with George Floyd, and across the board, there's not a single person that I'm aware of who watched that video and didn't get sick to their stomach. There's not a single police officer, anybody in law enforcement, current or past, that looked at that and defended the police officer. Every single person across the board knows that's bad. To paint that as being what happens every single day of the week is absolute insanity, and it's a total slap in the face to the men and women who put on the uniform and go out there and risk their lives, not just for you and I as non-criminals. They risk their lives for the criminals. We talk about defund police. Do you know the areas that lose out the most? They're the areas that need them the most.
Yeah.
The low-income areas, the murder rates, the people where there's the most murders, that's where they send police officers into. You defund, you pull them out of the area. Now more people die. It's crazy.
Hold that thought, Eric. I want to continue that when we come back because that's a really interesting point. We got to take a bottom of the hour break. We got lots more coming up. Stay here.
Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hoosier Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hoosier Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
I cannot believe how fast this show goes each and every day. It blows right on by, even when you have a screaming headache, which is starting to go away. You ever have that feeling where the headache's starting to go away and you like get re-energized, you get your second wave? It's kind of where I'm at right now, on the brink of it. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason and on a pre-Friday celebration, doing you know what each and every day, having more fun than what we should be. Each and every day. Why? Because that's what we do, trying to dive deeper into the discussion, more so than anybody else, because we need to understand. We may not always agree with it, but we can at least try to understand it, except for crazy loonies that just, defund police and try and cause anarchy in the streets because there's no rhyme or reason for it, except for, as our guest has said, the emotional response. We are emotionally weak. And I think that's, at least some are. Not all of us, but some are. We got to re-represent here. The millennial, right here, this guy, millennial, trying to, rebrand the millennial generation, one listener at a time. Ooh, I like that. We might have to make that part of the show's slogan. Eric Rittmeyer is our guest today. He's a former U.S. Marine, an expert in the field of mental toughness along with emotional intelligence, and speaks to people about breaking it down to be able to move forward in a positive direction. Eric, by the way, you can visit him online at mentaltoughnessspeaker.com. You have a boot camp coming up here soon. I know it's been tough not being able to get out in front of individuals with this whole coronavirus, which that's another discussion of weakness. I think people are a little too scared to talk about as well. But because you can't get in front of a large group of individuals, you're starting to do an online boot camp. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I am. Thanks, Andy. I have a new boot camp starting July 7th. It's a 3-week program, 1 hour per week. I normally only do these programs for companies, so there's obviously never anybody on the outside allowed in. But with this Zoom era, it starts July 7th. You can go on my website, Mental Toughness Speaker, to get more information, to register for it. Again, it's an hour per week for 3 weeks. It's all in your face. I call it psychological performance training. It's just all about understanding emotion, getting control of emotion, establishing a vision, creating a new mindset, establishing a new language, a mental toughness language. So, I thank you for plugging that. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Is there a deadline on when people need to sign up for that?
Yeah, it's actually July 1st I set it as, so it would just be by July 1st. And again, the form's right on my website. They can go on there and register, and love to have your listeners. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, fantastic. It's really good. The discussion of the mental toughness and the emotional part of it is really important. I mean, emotion can take hold of people so easily, and we're seeing that in the political world, as we've talked about throughout this already, of just the emotional vulnerability, that if you question my political opinion, you are attacking me, and I take that personal, and now I'm very emotional and go to the automatic defense of this. And as we see the defunding police, people that feel like, and rightfully so, there are issues in society we still need to work through when it comes to racial equality. I believe that we need to make things more fair, and not fair as in like giving more things away, but allowing more opportunity. In a capitalist system, we're about equal opportunity, not equal outcome. We don't want equal outcome. That's not what the system was set up to be, with equal outcome, or else everybody's equal outcome is going to be absolute trash and nobody's going to actually be able to enjoy. But when you have the equal opportunity, we need the opportunity for people to grow. We need the resources for them to be able to grow, and then they need the mental toughness and the emotion to be able to handle it, because success is very tough, isn't it?
It is, and you're hitting the nail on the head with that, Andy. Here's the issue with emotions. Emotions and logic are inversely related. So as we become more emotional, we become less logical. So when we get put in these situations, again, we have to remember that our initial reaction to any situation is going to be emotion-based. If we don't have control of it, we're going to react differently than if we're thinking logically. Again, we receive no training. So for our kids especially, they're not being taught what I refer to as an emotional vocabulary, which means we need to let them know every single feeling you have is okay. What you're feeling is all right, whether it be fear tied to COVID, whether it be fear tied to something you see on television, your feeling is okay. It's how you respond and how you react to that feeling that's not always okay. Our kids aren't being taught that. So again, what's happening is we're now seeing this generation of people, and again, like you said, millennials, I'm not here to bash anybody, so it's not any specific age group in particular. It's just now what we're seeing are these kids who are growing up and now they're becoming adults that have never had to communicate. You know, it's more about social media than it is social interaction. We're now starting to experience firsthand people that don't know how to express what they're feeling other than anger and yelling and screaming. No logical thought process is going into what they're doing right now. That's why you're hearing all this craziness about defund police, open up the borders, let people out of prison. All this crazy stuff is all a result of the inability to acknowledge emotion.
I do love that, the fact that, well, the virus is going to spread into prison, so we need to let the prisoners out, but yet if you don't wear a mask, then we're going to put you in there. If you open up your business too soon, we're going to put you in there. To me, that's just kind of funny. So here's the big question. Moving forward, is the pendulum going to swing back the other way because we've gone too far and realized, wow, this is not working? And my generation, I mean, I will pick on my generation because we get a bad rep all the time. It's not the fact that everybody in that generation is bad, but we get a bad reputation because there are a lot of outspoken crazies that are in my generation that have been, I guess, taught from the higher generations that this is okay for them to act. They wanted to be more friends than parents kind of mentality. Is the pendulum going to swing back the other way because we've seen the crazy and how far it goes, or have we too far gone to where it's going to continue down this path?
There needs to be logical thought processes here. We can't deny the fact that we have functioning frontal lobes that allow us to operate in a normal state of mind and acknowledge things for what they truly are. It goes back to what I originally said, though. Millennials, anybody, it doesn't even matter. Take whatever group it is you want to take. You're always going to have your outliers. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You're always going to have your crazy people. You're always going to have these whack jobs who go in and shoot up stores or churches or schools. They're outliers. That is not the rule. That is the exception. So when you look at this whole issue we have right now with the hatred in this country, are there people that are hateful because of the color of your skin? There absolutely are. But don't make it sound like 50% of the nation is racist, 50% is not racist. It's nuts. It's crazy. And it's making people crazy. We have to acknowledge the fact that there are whack jobs. There are people that want to do harm to others based on color of skin, based on sexual orientation, based on the clothes they wear. We have to accept that. We can't eliminate that, but we can't make people feel like all those people are out running around crazy and totally taking over the whole world. They are the exception. We cannot allow this country to remain so angry. We are infuriated right now for no reason.
Well, that is very true. Now, let's take it to another level. Those crazies that are always going to be there, the ones that do want to cause harm, that want to burn, watch the world burn, that want to cause the anarchy, that want to break into someone's home and do something stupid, that have maybe a mental illness that makes them do that. I think we've gone to the point of such emotional response in society as well that we don't cast them out to say you have a serious problem or you're not fit to be in society any longer. But instead, we've had a progressive movement in the country to where we embrace it, to say you're different, you're unique, and therefore you're not a pedophile. You just love everybody, and we should begin to accept that. I mean, we've kind of gone the other direction of embracing the crazy now, haven't we?
Well, we have, and here's the problem, Andy, because it's all tied to your political stance. Okay, so everything right now, all of our feelings, all reactions that are happening right now are all rooted in how we believe or how we feel about the president. That is and I hate to say that, but the more I see, the more I believe that. Everything that's happening right now all goes back to the core of how do you feel about the president. If you like the president, the economy's doing great right now. If you don't like the president, the economy's tanking. If you like the president, protecting our borders is great. If you dislike the president, protecting our borders is horrible. What's the first thing they do when Chaz gets put up, right? So Chaz takes over Seattle. What's the first thing they do? They put up a wall. Yeah. Okay, so now all of a sudden it's okay for a wall in Chaz?
They put up a wall and they start carrying firearms. Yeah, they start carrying firearms. Yeah, exactly. They hate the NRA. They hate gun owners, but they're carrying firearms. They're upset that the homeless came and took all their food. They're trying to distribute guns everywhere. They're building a wall and putting barriers up around there while they're saying that they hate Donald Trump and the barriers and that they don't like the NRA and gun owners. I mean, to me, I don't know if it's the fact that they've had a rude wake-up call because they've actually had to try and survive on their own, which is hilarious to watch, or if they really just don't believe the garbage that they've been preaching for the last 10 years.
And, Andy, the other thing we need to do, which I catch a ton of flack for and everybody thinks I'm nuts, we have got to get back to mandatory military service. And I catch a ton of slack. You can't, Constitution, whatever. Okay, just 7.3% of our nation right now are veterans. 7.3%, that's it. Only 0.4% of people are serving active duty in the military right now. You look at that number, just 7.3%, that's it. You have a generation, at least one generation, that have skipped where their parents probably didn't serve, maybe their grandparents didn't. When you have that missing, we've gone away from a country. We've gone away from this social fabric, from this common thread. We have no common thread anymore. Back in the days of war, World War II, World War I, we were all there for a common core. We were there for a common reason. Now, we try to find things to separate us. Why? Why don't we try to find things that unite us? Why can we not come together when there's a major catastrophic event? George Floyd, why can we not come together on that as a nation and say, this is nuts, this is crazy, this cannot happen again? Why does it turn to anger? Why does it turn to hurting other people? Why does it turn to looking to the person next to you and calling them names because of the color of their skin? It's crazy, it's nuts, and it all goes back to how everyone feels about the president. If they like him, great. If they hate him, it's horrible.
It's crazy how one guy can be so dividing in that sense. There's so many directions I want to go with that, because do you think the other side that was so angry when the George Floyd issue happened in Minneapolis and they rose up and said, Black Lives Matter, we're going to reboot this whole movement, and they were ready for the fight. Do you think, because I didn't hear anybody, not a single person, not law enforcement, not individual, ever come out and say, you know what those cops did up there was justified. Everybody rose up and said this was wrong, this was bad, and we don't like it. Do you think they expected that response, or do you think they were preparing for a fight? Because they're still fighting people that are like, wait a second, yeah, I'm on your side on this. I get it. It's bad. We're trying to fix this. But yet they still want to fight everybody on it unless you are completely 100% with the whole radicalized, let's create, just, burn the streets, to rebel sort of thing. I don't know. I don't think they were prepared for the unity that we actually got at the end of this.
Well, here's the problem, Andy. It goes back to media stirring the pot. That's what it all goes back to. Mm-hmm. If you watch the video of what just happened in Atlanta, if you take every ounce of race, everything out of the equation, what you see is someone who resisted arrest, grabbed a weapon, and was shot by police. Okay, you now have that one police officer who's facing murder charges. He could get the death penalty. Okay, so if we can take a step back and let's just pretend that we're never, ever, ever going to get rid of racism in this country. Let's just pretend we're never going to get rid of it. Assuming we cannot get rid of racism, what can we do as a nation? What we can do as a nation is learn to follow the law, learn to love each other, learn to do the things that we can to prevent those things from happening.
Hold that thought. We got one more segment with you, Eric. We got lots more to get to. It's The Voice of Reason. Wrapping up the show goes by way too fast. Stay right here. More to come.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, you are. As we wrap up the show today, great to have you along for the ride on a pre-Friday celebration. We have lots of comments going on all over on the different social media, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, on the website at HoosierReason.com. Plus, we are streaming live on the Podbean app as well, so if you want to tune in that way, if you have the Podbean app, you can chime in and chat there. And I love it, all the comments. Please, by the way, share it out, blast it all over the place, grow this. We are on 4 radio stations now. We have way more coming in the next couple of weeks. I'm so excited as we continue to expand and grow the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason right here out of Wichita, Kansas, and it is an honor to do so. all the time. I absolutely love it. Eric Rittmeyer, one more segment with him. It goes by way too fast, man. I love it. And we're going to have to make this a relatively consistent thing. But you mentioned one thing in the last segment about the mandatory military. And I know many countries do this, and it caused some conversation on one of the threads here with some individuals liking it. Now they're saying, oh my gosh, no, how could you possibly think about that? But you're right. I think that this would almost create, as we mentioned, an identity for America again, and maybe an appreciation. We wouldn't have people saying, I despise and I hate America. If you spend at least a couple of years learning maybe a little bit of discipline and respect, but then you at least fight for the flag, you wouldn't have people kneeling for the flag or the national anthem. You wouldn't have people trying to burn the flag in the streets. You would at least have a little bit of respect. And if we brought that back, American identity might come back to unite us. Even if we disagree politically, we could at least come together and say, we're all Americans and we love each other at the end of the day.
Here's the thing about mandatory military service, Andy, and I don't understand why it gets people so fired up. Here's the thing. You have to look at where our nation was, where we came from. We had our grandfathers, our grandparents, our great-grandparents. They were volunteering to go storm beaches knowing there was a very high probability they would not come home. That's what they did. They knew it was their duty. Okay, so what do you have when you serve? What do you have when you're a veteran? Look at anybody who served right now. You know what you're getting with a veteran. You know you're getting commitment, integrity, accountability, loyalty, service before self. We don't see color in the service. Okay, we're all green. We all bleed the same color. All that matters, do you have my back when bullets start flying? That's all that matters. Okay, so the issue is these, let's say kids now, whatever you want to call it, as society as a whole, we just think that everything we have was given to us. We've totally forgotten about, look at the tombstones in Arlington. I mean, who were these people? These were humans. These were children. These were 18-year-olds. So if you want to get our nation to a point, let's find common threads. When you serve, you have the common thread. You know what you're there for. We're all fighting for the same exact thing. We may wear different uniforms regardless of the branch, but everybody has the same logo. It's the flag. So you want to talk about camaraderie, you want to talk about bringing everybody together, mandatory military service. I'm not talking about here's a rifle, here are grenades, go blow stuff up. It doesn't have to be that. It could be national service. Go to a park. You have to go away from home. You're going to leave for a couple years. Go serve somewhere so you understand it's bigger than you.
Well, I think serving is the big thing now because so many people don't do that. What they do is they're followers. They're not leaders. They want to know more about what Kim Kardashian's doing on Twitter rather than actually going out and serving and taking care of someone in the streets that's maybe with a homeless population or going out and serving in the military, or as you mentioned, go working in a park or doing something to get away to learn service and to actually be a leader. These protesters nowadays that are out there trying to protest, I don't think they've understood what protesting is actually really about because we've had the social media and the Twitter that actually ruined being a leader and actually what a movement is all about. When we had the civil rights movement in the 60s, you protested by doing something that you weren't supposed to do that everybody else was doing. Which made it seem silly, like, oh my gosh, you're not allowed to sit here and eat dinner, really? And you sat there and ate dinner, which caused the kerfuffle. You weren't out there burning down a police station saying, I don't like you, so therefore I'm going to protest. It's way different because I think we've lost the mentality to understand how to properly change things.
And we've lost the mentality of family structure. And I keep going back to that. You look at all the insanity right now. It's a lack of family structure. It's a lack of people. They don't care anymore. We glorify. I call them the Kardashians. We take the Kardashians. We glorify that. Why do we glorify that? Look at any type of reality TV right now. It's beep, 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 beep. It's all it is. It's running around. It's having sex with everyone. It doesn't matter. Disrespecting. Listen to the music that we do right now. This is all a generation who's grown up without learning basic communication skills. And on top of that, they've been desensitized. It's called systematic desensitization. We have a generation right now. There was a study done by University of California. By the time the average child reaches the age of 18, they've witnessed 200,000 acts of violence via social media, via television, 18,000 of which were murders. Wow. You can't tell me that witnessing that does not have any type of negative impact. They're systematically desensitized to all these things. I'm not saying watching television means you're going to go out and shoot up a school. What I'm saying is if we get so okay with watching people get their butts kicked, with getting kicked in the head, with getting punched for no reason, eventually that desensitizes your brain.
It's the norm. Eric Rittmeyer. I love it. Mental toughness, emotional intelligence. You are the man. Mental toughness speaker.com. Make sure to go up, sign up for his virtual classes, the boot camp that's coming up very soon. Eric, I appreciate it, my brother. We got to get you back on again here real soon. Until then, that's the end for us here on The Voice of Reason. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.